I had the pleasure of meeting Reverend Cecil Williams at a ceremony to give him one of the many leadership awards he's received over his lifetime. As coming from the Dalai Lama Foundation, I sit on the board of directors for that foundation. And I had been to Glide Memorial Church for services and had seen him from afar, but it was a pleasure and great honor to finally meet him in person. A while later, I was approached by two colleagues of mine who you've met, Jay Mahler and Gigi Crowder, who were wondering who to select to be the keynote speaker to open this conference. And I told them I could think of no one better qualified and more inspirational than Reverend Cecil Williams to provide that opening for us all. I have some brief remarks to share with you about him, but I also want to add something personal, and that is, as we began the process of talking with him and explaining the mission of the conference and how he might connect with all of us today, we had a chance, not just over the phone, but to go to his office and meet with him personally, surrounded by pictures of him with luminaries like the Dalai Lama, Reverend Martin Luther King, several presidents, and his humility and his wisdom and compassion in the midst of all that was so inspiring and so moving to all of us who were with him there. And we felt, I think, real honored and privileged to be able to have those conversations and to help bring him to you today. For over 40 years, Reverend Cecil Williams has expanded the limits of spirituality, compassion, and diversity as founder and minister of Liberation of Glide Memorial Church in San Francisco. As minister, author, social activist, lecturer, community leader, and spokesperson for the poor and marginalized, Reverend Williams is respected and recognized as a national leader on the forefront of change. His ministry underscores his roots in liberation theology and his commitment to explore and define spirituality that is both meaningful and relevant. Reverend Williams challenges his congregation to place action above apathy, community above isolation, and the force of faith, hope, and love above traditional religious symbolism. Often considered controversial and radical, Reverend Williams was one of the first clergymen to take a revolutionary stand for same-sex couples by presiding over their weddings 4 decades before today's struggle to legalize gay marriage. Two decades ago, he became very concerned about the spread of crack cocaine addiction and led a nationwide effort to develop a new approach to its treatment and prevention. Today, Glide offers over 750,000 meals to the poor and homeless a year through its kitchen. You ought to go see it sometime if you haven't. It's really something. They also provide supportive employment and supportive housing, childcare, family services, a wide range of support groups and counseling services, and a comprehensive, professionally staffed healthcare clinic. With a membership of over 11,000 and located in the heart of the city's toughest neighborhood, Glide is one of the fastest growing United Methodist churches in North America. People of all races, ethnic backgrounds, cultures, social classes, ages, faiths, and sexual orientations join together at every Sunday celebration to experience the energy of spiritual liberation coupled with a fusion of jazz, blues, and gospel performed by the renowned Glide Ensemble Choir and the Change Band. And if you haven't been there, you really should go. Reverend Williams is married to Janice Mirikatani, founding president of the Glide Foundation, and she is a wonderful and charismatic poet. Together, they have created a radical and unique partnership, bringing a powerful yet sensitive direction to Glide's many social programs. In 1986, Reverend Williams became the chairman for the Northern California Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Birthday Observance Committee at the request of Mrs. Coretta Scott King, and he continues to honor this legacy every year, overseeing the largest commemoration of Dr. King in Northern California. I give you Reverend Cecil Williams.
Thank you very much. Hello, everybody. Hello, hello. It's like I'm coming home. Yeah, no doubt about it. Now that I've had my speech given already, well, you know, when you speak, no matter what you say, there's always something, especially a preacher will have to say. You know, he's got to put something in there. So I'm going to put something in there, whatever it is. What I hope to do today is be very personal about my life. And then I want to break away from that and offer some suggestions about what we might do in this day and time for confronting the real problems that people face in urban America. And hopefully we'll come to some earthly and cosmic understanding where you will be benefited and I will be benefited by what we do together. First and foremost, I want you to know that when I was 12 years old, I had a breakdown. And this was in San Angelo, Texas. And there were two doctors for the African American community, Dr. Wyatt and Dr. Shirley. I don't know why their names just came to me all of a sudden. But that lets you know that I'm still remembering some things, right? Those old doctors said to my family, we think that he needs rest. We don't know what Cecil needs except rest, and we don't know what kind of drugs we can use at this time. And I'm so glad that crack cocaine hadn't hit the scene at that particular time, because they probably would have given me crack cocaine, you know. And then all of a sudden, they insisted that I drop out of school and just literally stay at home. So for almost a year, thank you. You must know me, do you, or something. So for about a year, I was at home. My schoolmates would come by and say hello, but for some reason, they didn't measure up to what I thought they should be. I knew this, that I was not the same person after I had that breakdown. And the interesting thing that developed was, out of that breakdown, I began to find something that was critical. And I'm so glad that I found something that was critical in my life, because I'm sure I would not have been here had that not occurred. You see, there was a family across the street from us, and there was a fella there in that family who had a breakdown also. His preceded mine. And all of a sudden, he committed suicide. And my family and the friends of my family and the people of San Angelo, Texas, decided that they would not call me crazy. They would just say, Cecil's resting. And you know what? Every night, while I was in bed, I would get up yelling and screaming and saying something, somebody's trying to kill me, they're after me, they're trying to get me, and all of these sorts of things. And my family would walk the floor with me. And then there were people in the community who would come as well. And when my family would rest, they would walk the floor with me, because I thought that there was certainly some evil doings going on, and it had to do with people who wanted me, who wanted to kill me, who wanted to take me, who wanted to do something to me. I did that for over 6 months. They stayed with me all of those 6 months. Remember now, the friend across the street that committed suicide was critical, because, again, his death helped the community to face my life. You hear what I'm saying? Hear what I'm saying? You hear what I'm saying? Somebody had to be there. Somebody had to be there to at least help my community face up to what my breakdown meant. And it meant, first and foremost, a group of folks who loved me enough to say, we're going to walk with you every night until something happens to you different. I remember the morning that I felt like I was turning the corner. It was early that morning, and the sun had just begun to come up. And all of a sudden, I yelled and screamed and said to my family, quite differently, by the way, I've got something. I'm feeling something. I'm different. Something's going on to me. Something has gripped me, and I don't feel like I've been feeling. And I'm not going to act like I've been acting. And so they rushed in, of course, and began to console and to sing and to pray. We were a singing group of folks, you know what I'm saying? And a praying group of folks at my place. And I'm sure some of you know what I'm talking about. I mean, my father could pray one of the longest prayers in the world. You know, he never stopped, and we were trying to stop him. Shut up, let's deal with Cecil. And he kept saying, Lord, oh Lord, please help them. Oh Lord, I said, look, be quiet, will you please? But anyway, that was the turning point of my life. Now, the turning point of my life brought me what? Let me give you something. First of all, we noticed that I had excessive energy. And through the years, since that 12-year-old kid had that breakdown, I have excessive energy. I mean, I can go. I mean, you can't stop me sometimes. I go, you know. And in going, that energy puts me at a place where when other people are sitting around going to discuss what's going on, I'm ready to go and let get things going, you see. But excessive energy. So be sure you put that down. Excessive. The second thing that I began to acquire was a perception of people. I began to say, I can sense something in your life, because what I had done is begun to engage in what I call empathy. I could see you from you rather than from me. Does that make sense? Yeah. I could see you as you were rather than for me to take the picture scene of myself declaring who I was and leaving you out of the picture. No, I began to know who you were, feel you out. and could say, oh yeah, well you got, this, and I began to also read Kierkegaard and a lot of those, those wild writers and philosophers, and because I knew that it was critical. If I were going to make it again, I had to have all the resources in my life. And so it was critical then for me to understand you. But the third thing, it was critical for me to understand me. See, if I didn't get anything out of this, it was not going to work for me. And so it was critical then for me to not only have that kind of thing going on, but the third thing was I became not afraid of death. And it's still there. I'm not afraid of dying. Now, I don't want to die. Wait a minute now. Don't look sad. I don't want to die. But I got a thing about not worrying about death. I'm more into life than I am into death. That's what I'm saying. Therefore, I want to know then how I can then expose what I have, what I've gone through, not only for my life, but for the lives of my brothers and sisters. So I want to focus then on who I am, whose I am, and who you are. Did you get that? Can you digest that? All right. I want it to work now. What I have come up on is a kind of definition that allows me the notion of what I feel very strongly about. I am different. I'm not just a regular dude. You hear me? I'm different. And I'm not going to, if it sounds braggadocio, okay, let me brag a little bit. But I'm different. I decided to be different. I know it. You're right. Nothing wrong with that. You're right. You're right. I decided that since I had a breakdown, I might as well use it a little bit, right? Huh? You got what I'm saying? Yeah. So I don't care who I meet, wherever I meet them, and whenever I come upon them, I don't care where they are, who they are, that I have a thing about trying to discover who they are so that we can begin to bridge things. We can begin to see how we can work together, be together, love together, care for each other. So it opens me up to being different. So when I got to Glide, I said, Lord, there are only 35 people here at this church, this huge church, and it's a shame that they're about to close the church. And I told the bishop, I said, Bishop, you must know I'm going to turn this church upside down. I'm different. And he said, I hope you can do something with it because nobody else has been able to do anything with it. And so I did, and I've done it. And I keep doing it. I'm going to be a different kind of minister because I'm going to love people unconditionally. You see? And it doesn't hurt me if somebody rejects me, if somebody puts me down, if somebody says I'm no good. That just gives me more fire. You hear what I'm saying? It gives me more fire to be different and to make things work. And along with that difference, this is why I said, look, I'm going to go for every kind of person in the world. I don't care what they look like, where they come from. I don't care where they're going. I don't care how they smell. I don't care anything about that. I am going to go for people no matter what their circumstances are. And so I chose what is called the poor and the marginalized. And Lord have mercy. I found out that if you really want to help people in the world, you get to the poorest people and the more marginalized of the world, and the people who are hurting. And whoever's hurting, I don't care who you are, we will go. We have now 87 programs at Glide. 87. We have a $17 million budget at Glide. We have 230 staff members at Glide. I throw that out because if I hadn't been different, I don't think we'd have that at Glide. I'm different. That's just it. I'm different. And in that difference is what I call taking risks. Too many of us, especially when we acquire our information about how we have achieved great things, we forget the folks that helped us to get those achievements, you know. And I'm not going to forget the folks who helped me get where I'm going. I remember my wife, Janet, saying to me on one occasion, go wash your up. You've been hugging everybody. You're embracing everybody. Go wash your hands and wash your face. And now she's into it. And I say to her, go wash your hands and go wash your face. You know, if you're going to be different, you got to go all the way. You can't fool people. You can't fool people who are hurting. You know, we cannot fool people who are hurting. When people are hurting, they want people who really care for them and who will help them understand what they must do in life. And so, you see, out of all of this morass, out of all of this stuff in urban society, what we have been able to come up on and achieve, it seems to me, is people who need people are the luckiest people in the world. That's why that dance that those two people that did the dance, you know, we need each other. That's just it. It's all exactly, you know, and it doesn't say anything about how many degrees you got, you know. Some folks got so many degrees that they're frozen. Did I strike a chord then? Yeah, sometimes, you know, we get too highfalutin. That's what we call it back home, you know. Don't get too high on that hog. You know, don't get your nose up in the air, you know. You see, people need what we have. People need what we can give. People need what we ought to be doing. This is why it is critical, it seems to me, for us to take risk. It's all right to take risks. It's all right. We have ways of doing things and saying things and helping folks. And if we've got the resources, of course, it doesn't look like we're going to have some resources because they're talking about cutting everything practically. But that's why it's important for us to try to make sure that the resources that we have, those resources are used for the people and for people to enhance their lives and to be empowered. In my theology, I have come upon something that is very critical. And here it is. I did a battle with God for a long time because my mother died at an early age, and I couldn't understand why she had to die at an early age. She was 47 years old, and she had cancer. And 4 of the women in our family have had cancer. Couldn't understand this. So I took God on, and God took me on. But what I found out, if I am emancipated, if there is a way by which we can work in the world and really make things count, what we need most of all is to understand that God frees us. Now let me tell you what I'm trying to say here. This is where spirituality comes in very strongly. God freed me to know that I have the responsibility of taking on all kinds of ills and evils in the world, and that I can do it. I have the option. I have the decision. I'm empowered to do something and not depend on God to do it for me. I have a way of saying, God, I'm going to do it, and if I don't get it done, would you help me a little bit? God frees us. We are free to be responsible in the world. And therefore, if I'm free to be responsible in the world, then I can make sure that those things that are in the world, I can just relate to and respond to and take on, knowing that God's presence is always there, no matter what the circumstances. Now let me push that a little more, because I want you to know that no matter what we do, as far as I'm concerned, God is present. No matter what we do, God is present here today. God is present when you get home. God is present when you get to your work. God is present in everything we do. If God is present, we are freed then to be emancipated. We can be empowered people. We don't have to worry about whether or not God's going to be around or not. God is after us. We think that we're after God. God is after us. That's what it is, okay? Because one of the New Testament passages talks about the Spirit of the Lord is upon us. The Spirit of God is upon us, of Jesus is upon us. To do what? To change the world. This is our world. God has said, it's your world. Now do something about it. We must do something about it. And therefore, it's good for us to pray, but get up off your knees and also work. That's important, you know. And so, therefore, what I have been attempting to do for years, lo, these many years, is create a beloved community. A beloved community. And in a beloved community, we're all equal. We're all the same. We in the beloved community, no matter how much money you got, you still don't have as much money to make it count when the chips are down. You have to know that that money can only go so far. It's love that goes all the way. In the beloved community, love. In the beloved community, love goes all the way. Somebody has said to me, well, you know, you got a lot of gays and lesbians in your church. You better know it. I've got a lot of gays and lesbians. I got a lot of black folks, yellow folks, brown folks, all kind of folks. And if there are any that I don't have, I'll go get them. You know, it thrills me yesterday when I was going in my office and came out the parking lot, and this is what's so thrilling. You know, poor folks, hey, Cecil, hey, man, hey, you know, it's hey, 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 and we hey back, you know. So I was kind of looking good yesterday. and one of the fellas came up and says, Cecil. I said, what? He says, when you wake up in the morning, does Jan thrill you like I thrill my woman? I said, I tell you what, you go ask Jan, because she's going to cut your head off. You better know, you got to. I talked to some folks who keep saying to me, you know, we got to make sure that when we're in the presence of God, we got to be quiet and silent and serene. and this is holy ground. And I said, yeah, that's why we must shout and say hallelujah and thank you, God, because it is holy ground. It is. And so the beloved community comes together. You have come here today for your first adventure like this, I think. And you're looking for things to ignite you, to excite you, to lift your hearts and minds open. You have come here today to try to find ways, and will discover ways by which you can be together more, and how you can reach out and touch the lives of people. You are saying to people, we are going to become quite different. That's why you come to a conference or to a setting like this. You come and say, I want to be quite different. And the Spirit moves us to be quite different. There's no doubt about it. And so we come today. We come today, no matter what the situation is. We come today with those who have suffered severely, and we simply just say to them that justice is like a mighty, mighty work of God and of the people of God. And so you come. And there may be some atheists here. There may be some folks who may be atheists. But I just want you to know that no matter what your stripe, whatever it is, the last word is not yours. I'm going to say that again. The last word is not yours. It belongs to God. And my brothers and my sisters, it's so good for the brothers and sisters to get together, because it's there that we can discover. You are here to discover. And when you discover, things happen, because you will come up with things that touch your heart, your mind, your eyes, your soul. That's what happens. You know? Oh my God, it's so good. It's so good for us to stand and sit and eat together, because it's there that we can find how we can begin to be with each other, really with each other. It may take some breakdowns, but it can also take some breakups and lifting up of lives. Because when people really care, don't you know that the people out there know about it? They know about it. When you care, they know about it. And so we come with compassion, real compassion, and just say to you and to everybody, let us really begin to know that whatever our mind and heart and soul say to us, be sure that we say to the heart and mind and soul, we are present, we are here, we are with you. And I'm going to tell you something. We are fortunate in the Bay Area because we can get together with folks of all stripes. We're fortunate. Now, what we got to do is make sure we continue to get together with folks of all stripes. Don't let nobody suffer out there without us touching their lives. And you play a major part of that. And so I come to you. I come to you at this time to simply say, it's good that you got together. It's good that you're working this way. Don't let it die, because this is a need. But it has to do with you and me and the rest of us being responsible. So let us be responsible as a beloved community. Let us really, really beloved each other. May God bless you and keep you. And I'm going to ask you if you will let me answer a few questions for you before I depart. So I'm going to stand here and ask that. Thank you very much. Thank you. Now, don't rush up here, please. Anybody? Yes, definitely, son. We have just completed, this you won't believe. We have just completed 2 new buildings. We built them. One is 8 stories and the other one is 14 stories. One is for families, the 14 stories is for families, and the 8 stories are for people who are simply just very homeless. And what we did in San Francisco, we have a policy that says that any corporation that wants to build in our city has to also build for the poor. So the 14-story for the families was built by one of the big corporations from New York. We did not pay 1 penny to get it for it to be built. They wanted Glide to direct it, to bring in the construction people. We took over and just did everything, and they put the money there. They put the money, and we put the people. Now that's one thing. We're gonna build. We're finishing another building now for the homeless, and we now have as our vision another place as well. So we'll have 4 different places for homeless people to stay. Now, that's one thing. What we're going to do, this is very exciting. We're going to go in November to the War Memorial Building. That's the building where all the operas are held. And the hood is going to go to the house. We hope to raise maybe $1 million off of that. It's one of our annual fundraisers. But the opera company said, it's yours. So we're going to bring in a few stars, and the rest of us will get as many poor folks. And the poor folks are going to march down to that on that day. And we're going to be together with the folks that got money, and hopefully they will also be able to give up some of that money. So what we're doing is just building. We're doing a lot of building now. Yeah, yeah.
I want to first say, man, I can't believe you like spoke through me or something. I mean, all the things that you were saying is just weird for me. But anyway.
Yeah, well, I'm weird.
But I also wanted to say that, I mean, for some of us that aren't really identify ourselves as Christians or any like major like religion, would we be welcome in your church? And what kind of like, as far as like, I'm more of like a spiritual person, but not really like in a real traditional sense. I don't know if I'm making any sense, but I mean, I find my faith and I find that my strength comes from that and not really in the organized religious way. So how would I be able to
I tell you what,
fit in?
I won't tell you, I won't describe it for you, but what you ought to do next Sunday or the Sunday after that, whatever, Sunday, is come to Glide. It's on the corner of Taylor and Ellis Streets across from the Hilton Hotel downtown. Come to Glide. There's a 9 o'clock and an 11 o'clock. We do about 3,000 people per Sunday. And you come, and you'll hear a 100-voice gospel choir and an 8-piece band and a lot of wild people like you. Huh? Oh, yeah, I'm putting you on. I'm putting you on when I say that. But come, just come and experience us, and then you make the decision for yourself. You won't see anything like this most places you go. Yeah, thank you.
Good morning,
Good
Dr.
morning.
Williams, my dear brother. Deacon Donald Clark from the Seventh-day Adventist Church. We, 31 years ago, and I appeared on your TV program over Channel 5. You probably remember I was with the Vietnam vets in the old CETA program. You said some tremendous true things, and I believe in them. And I pray and hope that everyone here believes in them. But you know, the real thing about belief is putting it into practice, not just ballyhooing, you know, in a convenient. And I saw you 5 years ago at a faith-based convention. We didn't get to talk. You talked to all of the California agencies, and notably the Department of Mental Health wasn't there, neither alcohol and drugs. They were mostly community and economic development type faith organizations. This was out at Allen Temple about 5 years ago. And you stated then that Glide's budget was $12 million, so now it's jumped $5 million more. I applaud you for what you're doing. And what I want to say now, and I hope I'm immersed in the Holy Spirit in saying this, is that when we talk about movements in America off of marginalized and poor people, this is nothing new. American history is replete of movements built around the poor. And a lot of these movements have become very successful in terms of enriching core elite groups. You said be radical and be bold. And Christ was both. And I'm a Christian. I used to be, for Dr. Thomas, several years ago, 15 years ago, 16, maybe 17 years ago, the coordinator for Mainstream and the homeless mentally disabled. I'm disabled. I'm a consumer myself, born and raised right here in Oakland. And my direct question is this. We talk about mobilizing for the marginalized. I think bathe in the blood of Jesus if you can, and I don't mean to be putting you on the spot. That Facts on Crack program that you started over 2 decades ago, when you said a race could be extincted, can you kind of tell us here this morning, how many do you know of went through a successful recovery and are participating in the social mainstream of society?
I don't know the exact number. I don't know the exact number, but I can tell you this. Yeah, I don't know how many people we have. I haven't counted them, but I can tell you this. I'm so proud, so very proud, that we literally have one of the best programs for teenagers, for gang members in America. And they are going to school, and they're going to school. Some just got their degrees on last Friday. And these I'm talking about are hard head, tough dudes. But they getting their education a different way. They're getting it now in ways that count for them. Because most of them are very smart, very smart. They wouldn't be out there selling that stuff if they wasn't too smart. But I'm so proud, not only of that program, but I can tell you literally of 7 or 8 programs where people have moved out and they are now getting things that really count in their lives. They're back with their families. They're back with their mothers. They're back with their grandmothers. Things are happening. And we are so proud that all of a sudden, in the last 4 or 5 years, people are moving and becoming empowered rather than depowered. So that I can say. But I don't know how many. I don't know how many.
Okay. Looks like we have about 5 minutes, so we're just going to take up to Helene, who just recently retired from the county, so she deserves the last word.
Yes. Dear Reverend Williams, you've meant so much to me. I've gone to Glide since I was 20 years old. I'm 58.
My goodness.
I used to listen to you on the radio when there was the radio broadcast. One thing that stuck with me that you said one day was, If you don't find community here, you better find it someplace. And I want to tell you, I've really been finding community with the pool of consumer champions.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Williams, I myself, I ate at your kitchen. I've been to your church. I got myself off of crack cocaine. And
Yes, sir.
my
Yes, sir. Listen.
My question is, now that I'm becoming a senior citizen, you have a lot of senior citizen programs in your church.
Yes, we have several programs for senior citizens, and I'm trying to start another one for me. Thank you very much, brother. Yeah, we have 2 programs that I know of. Yes.
Hi, I'm really concerned about the attacks on the poor right now in our state, and I'm wondering, you know, if you have any leadership ideas or what we can do to get together. You know, my children are standing to lose health care. I've got 2 kids in the schools, which as far as I'm concerned are hostile work environments. Teachers and students are dying, and I'm just wondering, with this budget crunch and what's happening, you know, what we can do to make sure that we're not going to lose the little bit that we have that's keeping us together. Thank you.
Stay together. Try to create groups, people, small groups, large groups, whatever, to make sure that you get your message to at least some of the politicians and some of the folks in your community, plus spreading out more, to let them know that you are not going to be, let them just do anything they want to do in regards to how they spend the money. That you count and all the folks that you relate to count. Make sure that your voice is heard. You do that in many ways, of course, but just keep, this thing is so awful that we have to have voices coming from every direction so that they will know that they can't just push us around and make us do what they want us to do all the time.
And I would just love, it seems to me I've been trying to help, and I appreciate that. I've called the school board probably more than 1,000 times. I continue to do it. I call my representatives. They are unresponsive.
Yeah.
And I'd like the issue of liability so that people without money can help, because what's happening is we're not allowed to help in the schools, in the mental health, in Berkeley because of liability issues and the lawyers.
Yeah.
And anyone can help.
Okay.
Reverend Williams, I personally want to thank you for all that GLIDE has done for me. I live in that area in San Francisco where GLIDE is located. And for 14 years, I've been homeless on the streets out there, addicted to crack cocaine, and GLIDE actually saved my life.
All right, you hear that?
Program.
Hear that? Hear that?
As a matter of fact, some years ago, I was on GA, or welfare if you want to, and I went there for my work fair. GLIDE has been real good to me. I didn't have to worry about eating or none of this stuff. It was just like just going there and eat or what have you. I've noticed that your programs at GLIDE Memorial has done more, not just for the black community, but for poor people than the city of San Francisco itself.
That's right.
And I want to thank you for that.
Thank you.
Straight out. Thank you.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
Somehow I can never refuse a mic. I want to personally thank you also. I have not been to a service for a year, I'm ashamed to say. But 5 years ago, during the part of my life that was very crushing, my marriage fell apart, my son was in a psychiatric facility, and I was still trying to function as a therapist with Alameda County Behavioral Health. My friend Yolanda Roquillo and her son Ramon Roquillo said, come with us. I come from a family of communists and devout atheists, strong humanitarian activist people. And I found a home, and a home with all different kinds of people that didn't say I had to convert to anything, just come. And I want to say this is real. And I don't think if that church wasn't there and my friend Yolanda handing me tissues and fanning me while the ensemble and the band were playing, that I would have gotten through that year. So I thank you.
Thank you.
I want to also say my question is, where's Jan, for God's sakes?
Can I tell you where Jan really is?
Yes.
She's at home typing, getting her speech together that she's got to give this evening. Yeah. No, not here. Yeah. We just kind of cross pathways. She goes to one place, I go to another. That way we can cover more ground. Thank you.
Can we give Reverend Cecil Williamson a round of applause again? Thank you so much.